refinancing, people have been refinancing their homes and using it to do, additional things, as well as buy other properties, buy things they couldn't before, but they're concerned that there is also a big group of people who are actually going to more payday loans and stuff just to survive, because even those interest rates are lower. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 years, in all our countries, because the pandemic just created a financial lull to some extent, because the governments have been putting money in, right, to make sure that everybody can survive, but based on individual decisions as to what they do or did with these funds is gonna play a big part in all our recoveries.
The housing market in Denver is outrageous. I bought my little tiny home for like $197 in 1997. My neighbor just sold for $609.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 2,000 square foot house on a 1/4 acre lot. Trust me, it's not a mansion.
Right.
Wow, and for 609.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, me and my wife fell out of our chair, but you can't sell it because you gotta have to spend that much on a new house.
Exactly.
No, you can't.
Yeah. So that's why John people are taking the funds out, right? That's why they're taking it out to do something else. But you have to invest in a business or something that will actually, give you good returns. Mm-hmm. And this is where Cannabiz come in to help people who are thinking about, the extra funds that they have, how to invest in the proper business, be it one that's already exists, right? Or start their own in this industry.
Yes, it's pretty outrageous. But we're gonna be presenting, I'm gonna be presenting a cannabis talk in January here. I had people asking me, how did you get on the schedule to be a presenter? You must be pretty high up. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty important.
That's right.
Like, what do you mean? Why are you questioning how I got on the agenda to present? What are you talking about?
That's right.
That's great.
So everyone good this morning? Did you guys? I tried to post some hot topics in Mighty Networks this morning for everyone to kind of peruse. So I don't know if we had any. If you guys went over any hot topics or just
no, not yet. I didn't get to see it as yet, but I did trip over one that I found interesting as we look around the world, and where a fellow in Ireland decided that his activist action would be to plant cannabis outside the Prime Minister's office, right? In order to, fight against the prohibition that they have in Ireland against cannabis. So, everybody's playing their part in trying to ensure that everyone around the world is able to participate in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is bold as ever. I love it.
And I was gonna say the one that hit me was the one from True Leave. I love seeing that it's a woman CEO that now owns the biggest cannabis, blah, blah, blah. But I still get nervous when it's the biggest cannabis, blah, 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 in the billions, because I want to know behind her, where's the money coming from? Like that's my big,
right.
I saw that.
Who is backing her and who is actually getting the funds?
Yeah. I was excited at first, right? I read that and I go, oh, cool, woman CEO. Ooh, $22 billion. Where's the money coming from? Who's
Well, here's the thing, and the fact that they're the largest here in Florida, because Florida I think only allowed, I have to get the exact number. I think it was only 11 maybe companies to have dispensaries here.
Yeah.
So, and True Live was one of the kind of the first ones to get the license here. And so you're talking about, I think in their first year, they had about maybe 8 locations. And then that next year, which was, I think, 2019, they had they were projected to open like another 20.
Oh, wow.
And then they were going to double locations every year after that. So just that particular company alone in Florida is creating such a quote unquote, almost monopoly. They're not really, but Pure Relief is just starting to pop up here in Florida. What's the other one? Grow. Oh my God, there's a couple of other ones, but yeah, they had for a while basically been able to dominate the market here, of course, because of their friends in Tallahassee. But that has allowed them to be, because when you can grow that fast in just one state.
Yeah.
They're killing it in Virginia. They're killing it in Virginia. I know Truly very, very well. Yeah. And I can tell you what, their lab guys are top shelf. Their lab teams are on their game. We don't usually talk about who we work with or who we don't work with, but I can tell you we really have a high level of respect for Truly.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
We see behind the curtain. Crazy. We see behind the curtain. You know what I mean? We're a lot of people's secret sauce, so we get to go to see things a lot of people don't. And I'm kind of really impressed with what they require regulatory wise, how they go about choosing their flavors, their terpenes, how they build their products, how they approach their marketplace in regards to who they're targeting and stuff like that. And so, I've always thought pretty highly of Truly and Bo over there.
Cool.
John, I missed hearing, what is it your company does?
My company's named Extract Consultants, and we do terpenes and flavors. We were in the industry, the first in the space, about 6 years ago. But I own it with 5 guys I went to kindergarten with.
Great.
And one of the gentlemen has a family business of essential oil aromatherapy and flavor experts who have been working with terpenes for over 80 years on the botanical side. So for us to come into this space, was a natural thing for us, and we kind of consider ourselves the adults in the room when it comes to these products.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
John, were you a pharmacist before, or am I confusing you with somebody else?
No, I was a chef. I was a chef for many years.
Okay.
Food and beverage.
Okay, got you.
So the flavors, I always tell people everybody on this call, we all have an intimate relationship with terpenes. We've just never had to put a name on it. We used to walk through the woods and say, "Oh, smell the pine trees. Beautiful." Now you walk through the woods and go, "There's some alpha pinene and beta pinene." You understand these things inherently.
Okay. So John, I have a question for you then, since you're a chef and you also work with flavors, etc. So when I add my fine leaf, right, to my salad, am I getting any benefits from it? Like if I put it just to saute with my other vegetables?
Yeah, I mean, just like straight up pinene, you said, Keisha?
Yeah, the fan leaf, so not the buds or anything, just the bigger leaves.
Yes and no, right? You would have to eat, yes and no. Here's what I tell people. Terpenes definitely bring cause and effect, as do flavors. It's been that way for millennials. As long as we can remember, it's been that way. I have doctors tell me, "Hey, does this really make you sleepy?" And I'm like, "Hey man, I'll let you argue with 2,000 years of aromatherapy." Right? Now, if you really want to get like your pine leaf in there, yes, you will. You'll get some of those antiseptic qualities. You'll get some of those, some of those qualities of the pinene. You're going to have to eat a lot, though.
Okay.
You're going to eat a lot. So, the way that I'd recommend doing it, if you are interested in playing around with isolated terpenes in particular and the cause and effect, is just focus on the isolated terpenes, right? Okay, so I want to have something that's, gives you a little bit of energy, but it's a calming energy. And right, so I'm going to add a little bit of limonene today to this. Maybe I want to, anti-inflammatory, add a little bit of myrcene to this one. I would approach it more that way than the actual plants.
Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Good to know.
Yeah. And those products are pretty, I mean, they're not overly expensive when you're buying isolated terpenes. They're relatively cheap. And then once you kind of get playing around with them, then you understand them a little bit better. You're making your own terpene blends. And it's a lot easier than what you think.
Now, John, have you done any coaching or lecturing?
Lots. Oh yeah, I've done at the CBD expos. I've done a lot of speaking there. I was gonna do some at the Southern Hemp Expo, but my father passed. I couldn't. I think I'm gonna be at MJ Biz on a supply chain. Because you know how the supply chain is right now, no matter what. So yes, I do lots of speaking and education. Absolutely.
Okay, you mind if we tap you to be a guest lecturer?
I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can, because terpenes, thank you, terpenes and flavors are very misunderstood. People they need help with it. It's a lot easier than what people think. So I'd love to help. Amory, I'd love to help.
Yep, I told him that, and I grabbed his info as he got on.
Mary, you're on it.
And one thing I like to tell people about our company, look us up, do your homework, hold us to a high standard. We know that you're going to like what you're going to see when you're dealing with us.
No, that's good. That's good. We're going to have to tap you for a couple of things.
No
Cannabiz
problem.
University and our incubator as well.
All right, yeah, please.
Oh, and Mel, can you put in your information so John and Beth can also know about your event on October 16th in Jamaica, Buds and Brushes? Mel, who is on the call here with us as well.
Hi, guys.
She's one of our
Sorry
students.
I'm late.
That's all right.
And she's having an event, an all-day event, I'm told.
Yeah,
on October 16th.
A 14-hour event with live music, live art, live steaming, live yoga, live sound healing, all live, not pre-recorded. It's in how many days? I haven't gotten much sleep. I'm so sorry. I'm hurting
Less
over
than
here.
2 weeks.
Yeah, in less than 2
Mel.
weeks. I'll
12
get
days.
to sleep
12
after.
days, Mel.
Yeah, I'll get to sleep after. But yeah, it's coming up. I'll follow Buds and Brushes JA for more info. It's an amazing event that gives back to various charities across Jamaica. It's been going on now for October will make actually 2 years since we've been doing it. April 420 made 1 year since we've been on the virtual scene. Yeah, like you got to come and check it out. That's all I got to say. I talk about the event a lot, but the best way to really truly experience it is to actually experience, because when I talk about it, I think people don't understand sometimes. And when people think of the virtual space, they think about this, what we're doing right here, which is sitting in front of the computer. And for my event, you can enjoy it in so many different ways. You can just turn it on and leave it and just allow the music to entertain you. If you want to be visually stimulated, you can sit in front of the computer and watch the amazing live art that comes alive, because there's 10 live performances, 4 live DJs, 4 visual artists, a master steamer who teaches you how to use your steam chalice, which Beth is going to show off because she got one from Andre France from the last Buds and Brushes.
Nice.
We do some sound healing. We added yoga on our last event, so we'll have yoga all the time now. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing event that really gives back to some really awesome charities. So definitely, if you have some time, check us out.
I will.
Check us out.
I definitely will. Without a doubt, I will.
Yeah, we're hosting it from a place called Coral Cove Wellness Resort. A lot of you might know Kiko, because I think I met Kiko through, it was either a Cannabiz Cannabiz Cafe, or it was a Tokativity event. I met her at, she's the marketing director and educational director, I believe, for Coral Cove. They are they are actually the only cannabis and psilocybin resort here in Jamaica. They do wellness retreats there. Beautiful property. Whenever they have groups in, I hear they have shamans there. They do ayahuasca. They do a lot of stuff there. So I'm excited that there are sponsors for this one, and we actually get to leave my humble abode and host from the beautiful space.
Excellent.
With some actual people in person. We haven't had people in person for a little bit, so it's going to be a small gathering, and we're still going to be virtual and live at the same time. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to my classmates being there too.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Mel.
Yeah.
And as we hop around the world and give updates as to what's going on, so I found that on September 27th, 2021, Los Angeles County dismissed 60,000 more cannabis convictions. Right, so that's good news in terms of, you know, making sure that the people who suffered are also being taken care of, right? It's not just about the business, but it's also about ensuring that the rights of others that were unfairly, you know, taken away from them, that they are allowed to walk free and feel better about themselves in all of these changes that are occurring. So that's LA County. Their district attorney, George Gascon, announced on September 27th that his office will automatically dismiss nearly 60,000 past cannabis convictions as part of their ongoing effort to remediate the harm done by the war on drugs.
Yay.
So I don't know if anyone else has anything else they read that they want to share about. I'm sticking to the politics side of things. I think Beth can fill in on the business side of things.
No, I read that too, Keisha, over the weekend. I did see that.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed that big article last week about psilocybin being maybe the biggest breakthrough in depression treatment since Prozac.
Yep.
Wow.
I read that too.
Yeah, that's a big one, man.
Yeah, that is a big one. That is a big one. I just
And I
started
think
my mushroom journey a few months ago, and I definitely do believe and support the plant 100%. But I definitely believe that a lot of education needs to be done so that it doesn't. It's the same thing with the edibles, you know what I mean? But this is just a whole different ball game. And I find, especially here in Jamaica, it's become a big thing now because it is legal. So it's not illegal. Mushrooms is not illegal. So a lot of companies are popping up with their chocolates and their capsules and their, but what I've been seeing, and I don't know because I don't leave the house much, but what I've been seeing in the market are a lot of younger people that are using it. So they're not necessarily using it medicinally. You get what I'm saying? They're using it to get the trip. And you know, I haven't gotten the trip yet, but I've enjoyed every single moment of that plant. And I do know that if not used correctly though, man, these kids, they're gonna go to a place that they might not recognize, you know? So I just really hope that we're smart about it here and, you know, do some real education. I've been approached over the past year from different companies to make product for them, but because I'm not familiar with the plant and dosing, I rather stick to my edibles that I do here in Jamaica. I know what I know. I'm still learning. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm the best edibles person. Well, I am the best edibles person out there. Let me stop saying that. I mean, I know that I have a lot more to learn. because I've just learned, I'm learning now, with schooling, but like I just learned from looking up videos, and I'm learning more about the plant and more than I've ever done before. But yeah, mushrooms is just not something that I really want. I want to see it. I want to see it being used for the good here in Jamaica, because we have a lot of people here that suffer from mental illness and depression. And I just know that if this whole entire island was on some shrooms, like weed is great, yeah, but we're not using that properly either, some of the, lower income people. But I feel like if everybody was on some shrooms here, we would have a better, more peaceful island. I swear to God. That's just my view on it. Weed does its thing, but I just feel that this mushroom journey, for if people would just educate and we could get it into the right hands here, and we would make a difference with that plant.
Mel, I'm seeing more and more marijuana and CBD trade shows partnering up with psilocybin industry as well. So like CBD expos, they're doing psilocybin events as well. So I think you're seeing an education piece start coming to the forefront, because I know Beth lives in Oregon, where it's, I live in Denver, it's decriminalized here. So
Our whole state.
Hopefully we do some education here too, because for me, what I'm looking at is that it's like the light bulb went on for a bunch of people here, and they're like, oh shit, mushrooms is legal. Let's all get into the business. You get what I'm saying? So not necessarily that's what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm not seeing a lot of it because I'm not really out there in the mushroom world, but I don't see any education being done. I don't see anything. I just see products popping up left, right, and center. And the people that are selling it, they're always out, and their clientele are not people that are using it for medicine. Their clientele are people that are trying to go on a journey, and it's not for health purposes at all.
In Oregon, we did things a little bit unique in that, the big international news was we're the first state to decriminalize all drugs. And the sky didn't fall. I want to let you all know, no matter what the news shows you, the sky did not fall. And with psilocybin, and that's the thing, there's a nuance. Yes, it's legal in Oregon under the care of a therapist. There has to be education. Don't get me wrong, there's still people, even in my little, I live out in Astoria, there's people that know how to mushroom hunt, and they've been doing it for years. That's their thing. But like you're saying, people just coming into it, I was really glad Oregon did it that way, because like you, Mel, I just saw Cookies, huge brand, is putting out, we have a new capsule, THC and psilocybin in the same capsule. Okay, that may be wonderful if used properly with the proper education. But like you said, Mel, what I'm worried about is, I love Cookies. I'm glad that brand is growing and everything, but those are the people they're going to be popping those pills. How many can I take? How high can I get? How far can I go? And here we are, we're like, well, wait a minute. What we'd really like to teach you is, how can you be a better human? How can you work through past trauma? How can you, PTSD from whatever, maybe even just the pandemic, my goodness, like you're saying, we could be setting up a healthy way of living. And that's where, that capitalism, let's make some big bucks versus let's educate people. And I was glad that Oregon did it that way, because it's constantly, and I could share some contacts over here. They're in Oregon, they're really trying to do education of, you take like the tip of your pinky is what I was told, is, you're not taking a lot. It's such a small dose through therapy, not go trip and your whole life has changed. It's through therapy and to help you. So I'm with you, Mel. We've got to, again, that balance, right? It's and with edibles, I see people working with our pharmacists that, oh, how many 1,000 milligrams of cannabis can I? Why? But
right.
Look, we're a country that would also grab some moonshine and go, look, I drank so much, I'm blind. That's cool. And it's like, no, it's not.
Right. One of the people, I think one of the things that I think people are starting to understand, and I say this to a lot of people all the time, you don't go into a bar and order Everclear every time.
Right.
You might get something that's 2% alcohol or 10% alcohol or has this or that. It's the same thing. And to your educational point, I see that a lot, right? Because like I said, I'm back in the labs and I'm building products for people and trying to show them how to market and stuff. And in immature marketplaces, to the point of the capitalism side of it, right? It's an immature market. People are new to it. They're going to run out and buy the stuff without having that education. Mel, to your point, they're going to buy the mushrooms because I can finally get that mushroom buzz legally, right? I find that the education tends to come later, and where the breakdown in education tends to come a lot. And this is my experiences from food and beverage, right? If I was introducing a product to a grocery store chain, Kroger, I did a lot of training on my product, whether it was a hot dog or a bun. I would tell them all about these things. And unfortunately, if you think about the marijuana space and the silent space, things that aren't done well in the black market are where people really struggle in the white market. If you understand what I mean, you can grow in a black market very easily. So you can build, you can extract in a black market, but you maybe can't market, educate. Those are things in a black market that you don't have to care about because you're dealing with a whole bunch of other things. And so those are spots in the legal space that tend to be lacking, right? They're used to saying, eat these edibles, try them, you'll like them. They're not used to saying these edibles are made by this type of extraction. These products are in here. It's going to do this for you. And this is how you educate your clientele at the dispensary. Right? There's the real breakdown. So the manufacturers weren't necessarily doing a good job of educating the bud tenders, dispensary people, who are really the frontline people in educating the new consumers walking in their stores. So education, I think, is huge in all of this. Everything that we do, I think it's massive. I spend 90% of my day educating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good points.
Yeah, because there's people out there that need the education. They yearn for the education, but then you have a person that's miseducated about the subject, and then they're miseducated.
Mm-hmm.
So education just is a revolving cycle. So I'm with you on the education part as well.
Yeah, and once marketplaces become a little bit more mature, like Florida, like Colorado, like Oregon, the education then kind of starts taking over a little bit. That initial push of, yay, we can get high legally. It kind of, and now people are, instead of seeing sour diesel on the shelf in a tincture or an edible, they're starting to see sleep, awake, things like that. And that's opening up the educational door. So why is that one sour diesel, but that one over there doesn't have that name, it has sleep? And then that's when the education really starts rolling for people, for sure.
That's funny how you put it. I like that how you put it, because Jacana is my my cannabis sponsor here in Jamaica. And I'll show you, like, when you go to their dispensary, their things are labeled in what you will feel. So this flower, it says joy. So, and when they educate you on it, when you're there, they tell you what the feels are you're going to get. So there's joy, and there's strains inside of these names, of course, so this is joy. And then they have, what was this? I think this was a limited edition. They have one called Peace. They have one called Passion. And then, of course, the strains are underneath, but it tells you all of what it can do to you, versus, as you said, walking in and seeing a Sour Diesel and a Granddaddy Purple and all of these things. Ow. You're going to tear off my ears.
Well, Mel,
in the room.
Quick question. Which strain is for Passion?
For Passion, what, do I have any Passion here? No. Do I have Passion? No. I got Peace. This is a pre-rolled. I need my glasses. I'm so blind. What does this say? Blueberry muffin, and then it says 22% THC. Their packaging is so fancy. And then see, they have their little pre-roll in there. It's a tiny little girl. But they have, it tells you how much THC. This one is called Headbanger. I can't deal with the names. Amnesia Haze. I can't manage names.
Anymore. We're seeing
Downtown Diesel. I like the percentage though of THC that they put on there, and then the fact that it tells you, what, like the one that says joy, the flower, it says inspires creativity, fun, and laughter. The one that
limonene,
says
a little bit of limonene in there. Yeah, I see it.
The one that says peace, it says encourages rest and relaxation.
Beta-caryophyllene.
Kind of cute. I like it.
Well, what we're seeing is think people are getting away from all these strain names, because sour diesel grown inside in Seattle is completely different than sour diesel grown in Key West outdoors, right? And so these things are getting just, they're too watered down. It doesn't make a difference. And what we try to tell people is you got to focus on your growth market, right? Where are you going to grow? The people who like the sour diesels and the train wrecks, they're already in the marketplace. You're not going to really get any growth out of that, right? We're all fighting over the same 20% of people. Where you're going to get growth in your tinctures and your pre-rolls and your edibles and stuff is making things that are relatable to the average person. My great aunt, who's kind of curious, is not going to roll into a dispensary and have a conversation with the dreadlock bud tender about the difference between AK-47 and train wreck. That scares the hell out of her. But if she goes up and sees exactly what Belle was saying, she sees a container that says lemon happy, she's going to buy 10 of those. And I tell people all the time, you're going to sell a lot more lemon happies than you ever will sour diesels. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, because these are consumer flavors that have been accepted for decades. Decades. Yes. Right? And so it just makes sense. How you can't put your finger on sour diesel anymore like you could back in the 80s, right, Beth? You got sour diesel, right? You knew what sour diesel was. You know what I mean? Now it's, it's identified by the cause and effect. It's identified by what it does to your body.
And to that point, I think, the 50 plus consumers, 50-year-old like myself, us, if you haven't been in this, I mean, it cracks me up. I get questions from people I went to college with. And we went to dead shows and they'll be like, I don't understand. Because this cannabis that is in the marketplace, it's not Panama Red that we used to get from Mexico. It's not those strains that were 7 to 11% THC dirt weed. Yep. And at the same time, it's also not what we used to get from Canada that I wish we could still get from Canada, right? That would come across the border that way. It's a whole different scene. And to your point, I have people in college that haven't smoked for years and they're calling me going, well, Beth, will you tell me what do I go get now? We used to just go down and pick it up from the guy, we would buy weed. Knew the guy and we all come back and
I haven't bought pot in decades.
Back in the day, you'd buy a couple ounces and you'd sell enough to pay for yours and everybody was happy. We didn't even know about making a profit back then. We were just being friends. But yeah, it's a whole different scene now, and they need education because they're also getting stoned for a different reason. I have arthritis. That's why I love my cannabinoids. I don't have any pain from my arthritis because my inflammation is down. My collagen is hopefully rebuilding itself. But I got 6 years immersed in this industry, so I know those solutions. That doesn't, the people that need this education, and like I said, especially our young soldiers, our young men that are going to get released from prison. In my lifetime, God darn it, every day I do something. For Last Prisoner Project or 40 Tons or anybody that's doing something to get our young men out of prison. They too are going to need this updated education and bring them into our industry. So we have the history. And John, just my personal thing as a fellow white person, I really prefer, we call it a legacy market than the black market, just because I know my East Coast folks and all, there's still
Thank
a
you.
little bit of racism. So I just prefer using legacy versus black market. It
I
really
appreciate that. I hear you. Thank you. I hear you. Thank you.
yeah, and we've learned on the West Coast that just that switch of a word, it honors the people that did go before us rather than looking like an illegal, I used to say illicit. Well, they didn't have a choice. So let's say we won't be here without our legacy folks.
I like
so that's
that.
just
The
my
legacy
opinion.
market. I like that a
Yeah,
lot. I'm
yeah,
gonna let
yeah,
my team know
I
about
like
that.
that too. I like that
Yeah.
too.
I'm
Words
gonna let my
don't
team know
flow,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and so we need those folks. I want them out of prison. I want that history. I want our Jamaican brothers and sisters to share their history. I
Mhm.
want our South African brothers and sisters. That's the history of cannabis. It's not Curaleaf. And as much as I love
Right.
seeing a woman, it's not Trulieve. Our history is with our brothers and sisters around the world and our brothers and sisters that are in prison. And so I don't know. I get a little.
No, it's great.
On that one, but
Hey, there's
but
one thing I'm going to circle back to something you said from way back in the day. I think with some of us who are a little bit older, you'll appreciate this. Look up online, High Times, best marijuana of 1978.
yeah,
It looks like the worst marijuana you would
Dirty.
ever smoke or eat in your life. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, did we really used to smoke that stuff? Oh my God. And High Times is trucking out what they think is like the bomb, right? And I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't feed that to my dog.
Come on, John. We used to have to get our double albums out and clean the seeds out.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you've been there.
I said, man, I see those lines at the seed counters at trade shows, and I see a lot of, man, I used to have album covers filled with seeds. That's funny. Yeah, check it out. High Times, 1978, best weeds. You will not believe what you're looking at.
It's interesting because I was also reading that they say that we have weed with more potency now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on the discussions that I used to hear before, and as Mel would say, they talk about the highest grade, right? So when you don't know, you'd think, oh, so they had the better stuff before, right? But then to hear that, I guess, due to science and everything else, right? And the intermixing of the different strains from different countries, right? We have greater potency now than even before. So the education and the understanding of how you take it is even more important at this time.
Yes. Mr. John, I got into the, I came into the Zoom meeting late, but I think I heard you mention something about tincture.
Yeah, I help people build their tinctures, right? Instead of using like just plain CBD distillate or something like that, I can help with the terpenes and the flavors, help drive it to a certain cause and effect. So if you have a general full spectrum, CBD tincture, most people just have that one bottle. I can take that bottle and turn that into like 4 different products for you, just by adding some tincture, some terpenes and some flavors. Because flavor drives cause and effect too, guys. We've been marketed to our whole lives in regards to that. You go to a fancy hotel and you get turned down service. What's sitting on your pillow? Chocolate mint.
Yeah, I want to learn so much about the terpenes though, because when I just started out 8 years ago, and High Times came down to Jamaica for the Rastafari Roots Fest, I had just came on the market and I had just started doing lollipops. It was so funny because a lot of Canadians were here and they would call them suckers. So they would come and they're like, can I get another sucker? And I'm like, what are you talking about? But they were a huge, huge hit when we did them. And I used keef to do my infusion. And I would meet these guys that were from Amsterdam that were growers from a long time ago, and they were trying to educate me on terpenes. And they would tell me, they're like, you should do different flavors with the different terpenes for your candy. And I'm like, oh my God, I can do that. But I never ever ventured over there. And it's something that I haven't
and
made
now
it.
John.
Yeah, I know, right? because I haven't made any
101.
candy since Bella's been born because, you know,
Oh,
making,
yeah,
making
exactly.
candy,
She
it is,
might accidentally.
yeah, man, it's time. Well, it's no, it's not even that. No, man, she not wait. Bella knows. Trust me. I have Bella. Bella knows what the grown-up stuff is. She'll tell you when she sees me baking. She calls whenever she sees the weed leaf. She calls it buds and brushes. Whenever she sees me baking, she always goes, "Mommy, is that for grown-ups?" And I'll tell her, yes, that's for grown-ups. And then we bake her stuff. So we bake her stuff different from my stuff. So she knows when
Okay.
I'm packaging, she sits on my lap and she seals the stuff for me. She knows I have to let her know because one, she's a little girl. She loves to eat. And I can't have my eye on her 24/7. So it's something that from day one, I just made sure. It's just like smoking. Like before, I never used to smoke in front of her. And then I got kind of frustrated that every time I needed to smoke, I had to leave the room to go and smoke or go and hide and smoke. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I just need to let her know what mommy is doing. Don't come around mommy because I don't want her to get, I don't want her to see me smoking. I don't want her inhaling my smoke.
Right.
When she sees me smoking, she knows. Mommy in medicine, if I'm in a bad mood, I swear my child will take up this lighter and bring it to me because she knows. You know what I mean? She will take it up and be here, mommy. She knows mommy needs her medicine. But I haven't made any candy only because it's time sensitive.
Okay.
And it's dangerous. So I don't want her running in the kitchen when I have this hot lava going. So I keep saying I'm gonna get someone to just come watch her for a couple hours and I just make a shitload. But I really want to experiment with the different flavors for the turkey.
Gotcha. You just let me know.
I won't make any more until I know how to do that because I just think it will make a world of a difference. And yeah, and that's what I want to do. I want to do that.
One thing I tell everybody about terpenes is don't overthink it. It's aromatherapy 101. We're familiar with these things. You light a candle in your room at night, it's not going to smell like an orange grove. It's going to smell like flowers and woodsy and floral. So, just back that up. Okay, lavender, one more step. Okay, linalool. So if you want stuff that's going to be mellow, put some linalool in there. Beta-caryophyllene. So really just kind of don't overthink it. You really, 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 really have an intimate knowledge of terpenes. You just had never had anybody label it.
Well, that brings up an interesting question too, John. I'm into tinctures. I make my own, and like Mel, I was trying to figure out how to bring those terpenes into my tincture. More or less the limonene, because one of the strands I was using did have limonene in it. I wanted to bring that smell out of it, and I didn't. I pondered over it. I asked questions. I read stuff, and what you just said brought something to mind because I saw it on the internet. Was the terpene extracts. Now, is that real terpene extracts, or is this just a company putting out something that's terpene based?
So for us, when you're looking at our isolated terpenes, they're usually anywhere between 92 and 98% purity levels.
Okay.
Right? Because they're a natural product, so you're always going to have a little bit of something left over in there. But when you're looking at our bottle and it just says beta-caryophyllene, that's all that's in there. Right.
So John, do you use a testing company?
Yes, we use the person in Oregon. And we also use a person in Canada for all our Canadian business because we do a lot of business up in Canada.
Right. So just to show that, this is because we're going that way.
Oh, all my products, you get C of A's, SDS, TDS sheets, food grade certifications, you get all the regulatory, that's where we really hang our hat, is on the regulatory side of things. We do regulatory heavy lifting that a lot of my competitors never even really think of. Hey, and then Theo, are you using MCT as a cutting agent in your tinctures?
I'm using everything from Everclear to olive oil. I have 4 different processes that I use, and that's just being based off of the first product I put out that was alcohol based. I had a lot of young people that loved it. I had a lot of older people, such as my mom and my fiance's mom, who didn't like the burn. So it prompted me to try other things: the olive oil, the coconut oil. What else do I use? Coconut
Glycerin
oil
is nice too. Glycerin gives a nice taste.
Yeah, right. So the reason I'm asking, because I can really get it boiled down for you to be about 4 ingredients max. right?
Okay.
You'd have your CBD, your oil, whether it's be a distillate or whether it's full spectrum, your terpenes. I would go with MCT as your carrier. It is probably, I think, Beth, you'd agree, I think it's probably the most common carrier out there when it comes to MCT. People are doing some olive oils and stuff like that, but MCT is pretty standard. And then we also make MCT based flavors, right? And so what's nice on this is if you, and Mel, this is a little bit for you too. Terpenes are an expensive product. They occur naturally in the marijuana plant in a 1 to 3% ratio, right? So you're getting the cause and effect at your add back. So you got your CBD oil, 100 grams of CBD oil, you add 2%, so 2 grams back, you're going to get the cause and effect from those terpenes. Anything after that's going to be flavor, and that's expensive for flavor. So for you, Mel, for your edibles, we do PG-based flavors, right? So propylene glycol, which would go really nicely into your edibles. For a tincture, which tend to be a little more all natural, people want that to be more natural, MCT oil comes in there. So if you're building a sleep tincture, very simple, you can put, 2% add back of whatever terpenes you want to put in there to drive that cause and effect. And then you're still going to have that CBD flavor, right? We all know that flavor, right? And that's where the MCT is going to come in and not only help override some of that bitterness of the CBD, but also really help drive home that cause and effect. And something else that people tend to forget about cause and effect when they're building their products is the packaging. NyQuil's got you half asleep before you ever buy a package of their product. Every single thing they say screams you're going to sleep. Not your cold's going to be okay, but you're going to sleep through your cold. The box is dark. It's got moons on it. It's got a picture of somebody sleeping. Every bit of their messaging is telling you you're going to fall asleep. So for your tincture, you put some nice sleepy terpenes in there. You lay over a nice MCT flavor like an Andes mint, and you call it your midnight mint tincture. Done. You put, same with you, Mel, in regards to your edibles, but you do it like a mint PG flavor instead, because a PG will pop a lot more than an MCT flavor will. So for edibles, I would recommend a PG based flavor or a normal edible flavor. But for the tinctures, you see where I'm going with that. You have your base, right? You have your carrier and your CBD. Your other 2 ingredients are your terpenes and your flavor. You basically remove those 2 ingredients and just add, now I'm going to do tangy terpenes and an orange flavor and call it my morning citrus blast.
Now, it's funny you said that because trying my processes out, I came across something that I really liked, which was using fresh fruit. I made a pineapple apple tincture, and the pineapple brought out the lemon profile in it, and I actually had people taste it by itself, and then I had others taste it in something. By itself, you could taste it more when it's in food or liquids. You don't really taste it, but I did get that using fresh fruit. So I was trying to figure out grapes, strawberries, things of this nature along the profile line of the terpenes. So I was trying to go that natural route with fruit. But I like your idea better though. Yours look like it's less messy.
Now, Theo, that's great. If you're going to want to grow like and go like out of your state or even out of your county, that using that fresh fruit is going to add a layer of regulatory to you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, just kind of really keep that in mind when you're moving forward with your products. Beth and I were talking about this and Mary earlier. Just make sure when you're building your products is you might have the lightning in a bottle.
Okay.
You don't know that. You might have what the marketplace has been looking for. So really adhere to the strictest regulations in the United States that you can. Because Theo, I'm not sure where you're located at. Where are you located, Theo?
North Carolina, but I'm moving back to Georgia here in about a month. So
I was at the Southern Hemp Expo in Raleigh a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard. I couldn't make it, but I did hear about it.
It was a rager. It was good. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Well, the point, North Carolina is one of those interesting marketplaces, Theo, right? Because they've really embraced CBD quite a bit, but they're hesitant on the THC side of things, which gives people a foot in the door on THC when you're dealing with the CBD, right? So you just pay attention to, I would say, probably the Florida regulations. Mary might and Keisha might agree with that, because in your neighborhood, Those are
Okay.
the kind of the toughest out there when you're building your product, and see what they have to say about using like fresh fruits and things like that, bringing it into it. I'd be curious to see what they have to say.
Cool. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, but you're on the right path.
Well.
You're gonna get a lot more cause and effect. You'll get a lot more sales cause and effect wise than you will strain wise. Promise you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, John. Guys, I know you all have enjoyed Theo. Melissa, you all have really gotten some really almost one-on-one information today. And I'm sure you all were happy that even though you managed to join late,
I'm sorry.
you got, and it's okay. We made it go over. That is fine. That is
Right.
great. I will say that we're definitely going to invite John to be on one of our Cannabiz University, and also, as Anne-Marie said, invite him to be part of our incubator program. So
Thank
you
you.
two will be seeing more of John as
Thank you.
well. Right now I want to be mindful of time. Anne-Marie's over at the other meeting. I have to join as well. But thank you all for coming. Mindful of everybody's time. Make sure to join us for Hemp Happy Hour for more networking. I'm going to send a calendar invite to everybody again. Look out for it. The Hemp Happy Hour, the calendar invite will have the link in there as well. So you don't have to literally go register online. For you all that are members and our speakers and future speakers, aka John. Yes, you'll be able to attend the events just by a click of the link that I'm gonna send to you. Okay.
Yeah, my email address is in the chat. If anybody wants to
Okay.
reach out to me and talk some shop, I'm happy to help.
Cool.
Right.
Thank
I grabbed it already. I grabbed it already. Made notes already.
I'm gonna leave you guys with a fun fact that I think is important for all of us to know wherever we're going to put our business, which is that some local communities charge impact fees. I don't know of this in Canada, but there's such a thing as local communities impact fees, and that is definitely in Massachusetts, right? It's in their legislation, and there is a recently filed lawsuit against the cannabis retailer STEM that revealed that the city of Haverhill, Massachusetts is charging 3 cannabis businesses a total of 1.3 million in annual impact fees. And yes, and 866,000 of it is earmarked, of course, for the town's police department. So as we look into where to grow, right? It's important that we look at the legislation and know what's happening in those communities. Because who would have thought a community impact fee and then the money is going to the police?
Yeah.
I'll leave you with that.
It's hard to fathom. I mean, we just don't really have those types of battles out here in Colorado anymore. We just don't have those fights anymore. It's really weird to hear about those things.
Right. So we look forward to the next Cannabiz Cafe. For those who are in our incubator program, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and Thursday. And then, of course, as Mary said, Cannabiz University and Hemp Happy Hour. Please join us.
Will
Will do.
be.
Righty. Thank you all for
Have a good day,
coming.
guys.
Thanks,
Enjoy.
everybody.
It was totally
Have a productive
enjoyable.
week.
Thank you for all the great info, John.
Hey,
Amen.
thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.
Hey, Mel.
Okay, bye.
Mel.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.